Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a crossover video. What I mean by a crossover video is this is the sort of subject I would probably cover on my firearm and politics channel, but because it is fitness and science and studies related, I feel like it's better for me to cover here. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. Alright, those of you who do know my stance and follow my politics and stuff know that I actually do, because I'm a fiscal conservative, I support the legalization of marijuana. I'm cool with it for medical uses, all of that. I just think it should be taxed. It should be treated like cigarettes and alcohol. That's been my view for a long time. I don't see it as any more dangerous than cigarettes or alcohol, probably less. I have no problem with it. But when it comes to understanding studies, particularly studies that are related to health or anything, you have the media and people who have biases. They tend to give very, very misguiding headlines, and then people who don't read the studies don't actually understand what they say, because again, they're oftentimes biased. For example, I just saw a study hit me today, or an article about a study. Now I'm going to link that study down below. It was on medical marijuana and cognition. Again, this is a health related topic, so this is still fitness. The problem they had is that the article was something like, this is a person who supports legalization. They're very much a Texas libertarian, and they're really big on legalization. Well, they linked this article, and it was saying Harvard study proves that medical marijuana improves cognition. Now, your problem there is that that's so misguiding, and when you start reading studies, you need to understand when people say a single study proves something, that's already bullshit, basically. You know that's a fucking lie. There is no such thing as a single study that is ever considered to be proof of something scientifically, not even close. So when you only have one study, something in a media outlet or a news story or an article is written saying it proves something, you know that person writing that knows absolutely nothing about science at all. And this is why it's important to read studies and understand what's going on, and need to understand why we do multivariate analysis, why we do meta-analysis, things like that. You need to remember, when you're looking at studies, I don't care if it's a study about medical marijuana or protein intake or exercise selection or training volume versus muscle mass, any study that you're looking at, you need to understand that no single study or no single 2 or 3 studies taken together ever carry as much weight as a meta-analysis. And when you have studies that are done without meta-analysis, not even meta-analysis, but multivariate analysis, where they try to figure out what actually caused the conclusions, you can't jump up and say correlation equals causation. Now, you take a study like this. This is a very, very small study. It has 11 test subjects in it. When you try to make any sort of definitive statement about a study with 11 test subjects in it, particularly only done over 3 months, that is going to be considered a very, very low weight study. Now, 5,000 people, that's getting pretty decent. You get a study with 5,000 people in it, you can start drawing some decent data from that. You start doing multivariate analysis, you can draw some real good information from a study with 5,000 humans in it. All right? As long as they're humans, don't start trying to carry over mice and rats to humans. That is, again, doesn't work. But you have a case like this. This is almost what I call hippie science. You know, a topic that is oftentimes loved by hippies, New Agers, everyone else, that gets extrapolated to mean something that it didn't say. What they didn't tell you is, again, that it's 11 people. And what they didn't tell you is that these are people who had serious medical issues that needed prescription marijuana, who were also taking other painkillers and things. This is not the average person, because if someone were to read this headline, everyone's going to jump up and say, aha, smoking weed is going to make you smarter. It's going to improve cognition. No, it's not. There's actual evidence that smoking too much weed is going to reduce cognition. There's plenty of evidence for that. Like any other substance, if you abuse it, it has harmful effects. I don't care what the substance is. You can abuse marijuana to the point to where it harms your health, absolutely. Harms your mind, everything else. Any drug can do that, including a plant that you smoke. Something that people need to remember. What this study looked at was that these people who were given it as a prescription for pain management saw improved cognition in several different areas. Some of their areas of cognition didn't improve, some improved a little, and a couple of them improved dramatically. They saw a dramatic improvement. Now, that's interesting when you're talking about using the substance from a pain management perspective, because that is significant. That's serious. Well, the first thing that you have to consider, you need to look at the conclusions of the researchers. The researchers never said that people just smoking weed with no other factors involved is going to improve cognition. They noted something, that all of these people suffered very serious, very chronic pain. And they needed this prescription to help with their pain management. Well, the areas of cognition that they looked at are areas that can be harmed by pain. Simply put, you can't think as quickly or think as clearly when you are experiencing physical pain. All right, certain areas of your brain, certain parts of your thought process are slowed down. They don't work as well, they don't work as fast when you're experiencing large amounts of physical pain. I think most people understand that. You don't believe me? Hit yourself in the foot with a hammer, then try to do algebra in your head really fast and see if you can do it faster before you're hit in the foot with the hammer or after. I promise you, you're going to solve equations slower after you just hit yourself in the foot really hard with a hammer. So for people who don't understand what we're saying, physical pain reduces your ability to think quickly and clearly. All right, so that's what we're looking at here. It affects your thought process. Well, these people all reported less pain. They're taking it for pain management. They all also reported improved sleep. Does sleep deprivation negatively affect cognition? Yes. So if you're in pain and you're getting less sleep due to your pain and other issues going on, and you take any substance that improves your pain, reduces your pain, and improves your ability to get a good night's sleep, is your cognition going to improve? Of course it is. And the researchers concluded that in the study. The other big thing they noted, and this is the important point because they're talking about replacing one drug with another. All of these people also were on other substances. Most of them were. A lot of them were taking various opiates for pain. They all noted across the board among the 11 test subjects an approximate 42% reduction in opiate use occurred. They needed less opiates for their pain in general for the ones who were on them because the medical marijuana was helping with their pain management. What's one of the big problems with opiates? Opiates inhibit cognition. Opiates cloud your brain. Opiates slow down your thought process. So if you have a person who is having to take opiates for pain and they get another substance that inhibits their cognition less, because no matter how much marijuana in large amounts might inhibit cognition, it's never going to inhibit cognition as much as opiates are. Codeine, morphine, things like that, right? Oxycontin. It's not going to affect your cognition as much as those drugs will. So if you're replacing some of the opiates with medical marijuana, again, is your cognition likely to improve? Yes. So for these people who were using it for pain management, who were needing various cocktails of drugs to deal with their chronic severe medical problem, their chronic pain, the medical marijuana improved their cognition in these 11 test subjects. Now, again, when you see people who don't understand how this works and they didn't look at that and realize there were other factors, that marijuana doesn't improve cognition at all, ever, by itself. When it was being used to treat severe pain, to reduce people's pain, and to help get them off other painkillers that harmed their cognition, it improved their cognition. But it wasn't the marijuana that had some magical substance in it that made them think more clearly. It's the fact that their pain got reduced and the fact that they were taking less opiates. Well, that again means that was the cause. That seems to be the cause. That's their conclusion regarding causation. Now, do we have proof that that's the cause? No, but that's a very reasonable hypothesis. You would obviously need to do multivariate analysis and larger studies to conclude that that was the fact, but that is most likely the case. That is far more likely would improve their cognition than marijuana somehow increases blood flow to the brain or does something else to make you more intelligent. And I'm not saying people who smoke weed don't come up with some insightful things, you know. I mean, You all had that friend who, when he hit that blunt, he stops and looks at you and goes, if Professor X can move things with his mind, why can't he move his legs? You know, so occasionally people come up with insightful things when they're using it, but it doesn't make you more intelligent. And the problem is that when people see things like this and they don't understand science, they don't understand studies, they can be misled by a headline, and then they go repeating something, and then they repeat something in front of someone who is intelligent, and they start making an argument for marijuana legalization because it can make you smarter. And they say that in front of a doctor who's seen the research, or anyone who's seen the research. They look like a fucking idiot because they didn't take the time to read the study or understand the study or understand what it was about or what was going on. And they don't even know how that study by itself stacks up against meta-analysis. They don't know what else is going on. They haven't seen all the other studies. They look at one study and draw this conclusion when that's not even what the study itself even said, without looking at the larger bodies of information. When you're talking about science and you're trying to make points and argue, and you don't do that, and you simply pull up the headline of a study or an article someone wrote on a study without actually looking at it yourself and trying to understand what's going on, you're going to look fucking stupid. And if you're trying to win a political argument or get a law change for something that's health related, and you do something like that, you're going to make an ass out of yourself, and you're not going to be taken seriously. So it's important when you're trying to use studies for evidence of something, or you're discussing studies of what's proven, to have at least a basic education on science, and to definitely stop and look through the studies themselves to understand what's going on. It's going to make things a lot easier for you. So hopefully this was a learning experience for people, and they're learning to step back now and look at a study about a health-related topic and say, okay, you can't just go with the headline of something that someone wrote in an article about a study. You need to actually look at the study itself. And you need to find other studies on the same topic to see what else is out there. You need to read everything that's available in an area, not just cherry pick a single study. And sometimes there aren't enough studies around for you to really look through. But in that case, it's hard to draw meaningful conclusions from that study in isolation. You're going to need other evidence and things to go with it. Not just for arguing for other people, but if you yourself want to understand what's going on. Because truth be told, if someone were to just take a headline like this at face value, they might conclude that they should start smoking lots of weed to make themselves smarter. Probably not going to work too well. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.